Okay.
All right, get the logo up front.
Welcome to the next edition of the Cafe Kubal podcast. So here today, let's do a little product placement. We have Joanne Lenweaver.
Lenweaver. Yep.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And she and her husband have been gracious enough to give me some balsamic vinegar, and I'm anxious to try that out.
It's
Perfect for salad season going into the summer.
You can, yep. Even get this. You can use it on a whole bunch of things, Matt. But
Yeah.
And thank you for having me today.
Of course. Yes.
But the maple balsamic, you can also put it on vanilla ice cream.
I have heard that. Yes, which is also a good summer pastime as well.
Fun thing. Eat a salad, make yourself feel good, and then you have a lot of ice cream.
That sounds like a winning combination. So Joanne, how long this is sort of like your side gig, do we call it?
Side hustle.
Side
Yep.
hustle.
Yep.
Which is great.
It's so fun.
Yeah. And you were just telling me that your husband has over 600 garlic plants as well.
They're this tall right now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard
Wow.
to believe. Here we are, middle of May.
Right.
They survived winter beautifully,
Mhm.
and they are just strong and green and ready to produce.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot of work, and I know absolutely nothing about farming, so more power to you.
Well, it's funny. Dave is the one that kind of came up with these recipes because he graduated from the Culinary Institute at age 50.
Okay.
And
that's cool.
Isn't it? Went back and had a really great story there. But he just loves soil,
Mm-hmm.
making wonderful things happen with it. And so we're fortunate that one of these balsamic vinegars that he's developed and blended is a garlic flavor that comes right from those 600 garlic plants.
Wow. And so how long have you two been living there in that specific property?
It is 10 years this year.
10 years, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So did you start the farm immediately after you went there, or was it after a few years?
We did. It's a beautiful spot
Right.
In the southern hills of Onondaga County. So
Okay.
Apulia, I don't know, we know where that between
No.
Tully and Fabius. Where the heck is that?
Okay,
right?
I can imagine.
I think
where
there's
that is.
one house,
Okay.
and so, we had a horse, and so we brought the horse home, and a whole bunch of other animals, and now we have chickens and bees and all kinds of fun things. And but basically, it was kind of like one of those things that just kind of developed into
An overgrown hobby.
an overgrown.
And then you being the entrepreneur that you are, how can you monetize that?
That's right. How can we make a profit out of spending,
Yes.
Overspending to go have fun?
Or how can we at least not lose so much?
That's right.
Right. But
On
if
the
you
mortgage
enjoy it, you
payment.
enjoy it, and that's really special. So it's
That
good that
is
you're able to do that.
So true.
Your, what do you call it, main gig, your day job, working with Wise.
Right.
Tell our viewers who may not know a little bit about, if you could, about what you do on a daily basis for that organization.
Yeah. It's the good work, isn't it, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
WISE stands for Women Igniting the Spirit of Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So the center that I am the director for is
Right.
the WISE Women's Business Center. It is just completed, or is in the middle of its 13th year.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically 13 years ago, or let me say 17 years ago, the WISE Symposium, which is a big conference,
Yes.
was more or less dreamed of and
Right.
started. And what happened was women would go to this thing and say, you know what, love the idea of entrepreneurship. Never thought about it, and I'd like to try, but who can help me? And so 13 years ago, the Wise Women's Business Center was started as a result of several people at Syracuse University who wrote a grant to the federal government and said, we think we can start a center here in Syracuse. So now we are one of 110 other women's business centers nationwide.
Yeah.
We're funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration.
Right.
And the other part is our host organization, and that is the Whitman School at Syracuse University.
I know several entrepreneurs, but I don't think they all necessarily know about your organization. Maybe they've heard of it, but maybe they don't understand what sort of support they may receive from that organization. If I were to come across someone who has owned a business, what sort of ways can you help them?
That's right. It's a great question.
Yeah.
Because we do have a range of people that come in our door.
Right.
We serve, at this time, we're in the middle of our fiscal year.
Right.
And we've served over 200 people, unique visitors. So
that's great.
That's really cool.
That's a lot.
It is for our tiny little team.
Yeah.
You know, we have a powerful team right now, but boy, you know, they work really hard.
Right.
And so what we do is 4 things.
Right.
Number 1 is one-on-one counseling.
Right.
So no matter who you are, we meet you at the door, and whatever you need, we spend an hour with you. And if you like to come back, you can come back for years, whatever. But each person is totally custom helped, assisted.
Right.
So perhaps during that hour, you decide that you'd like to come to more training services and workshops, educational experiences. We have a monster.
Like business 101 type stuff.
You got it.
Nuts and bolts kind of thing.
Yep. It ranges from a class that I've taught for 9.5 years called The Building Blocks for Starting a Business.
Right.
And basically, it is so interesting that even after 9.5 years, I still get full sign-ups. Like, 15 people sign up twice a month, every month.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so such an interest. And so those people, many of them this is a good feeder network into the counseling. So that works out great. And then mentor and protege types of things. I have a powerful board of directors, of advisors. They are just remarkable, and whatever we need, they're there. So if someone wants to learn about how to run a retail store, maybe I would call, Wendy Meyerson, who is, owner of Nature Time,
right? Yep.
Or Laura Surway, who is, co-owner of Lacey's Tapas Bar.
Right.
So any of those people, I might call you. I did call you one time.
Yep.
And we had a wonderful intern, and you were more than helpful. So, these are things that I know that are part of this wonderful community that we have in Syracuse.
Right.
And then the 4th thing is networking. And so that's where the Wise Symposium comes in.
Yeah.
And
which you just had recently.
We did, down at Sky. And it definitely allows women in a room of 300 or more to network and learn from each other. Yeah.
Well, that's a real unique and also special part of the community. Small businesses are the backbone of any economy. Ours is certainly not excluded. And I'm grateful for what you have done and the ways that you have helped
thanks,
with
Matt.
entrepreneurs here in our town. Now, how did you get interested in entrepreneurship in general, personally? Were your parents entrepreneurs, or your own experience as an entrepreneur? How did that start with you?
Yeah. I think you're going to agree with me on this. When you are an entrepreneur, you're
Yeah.
partially nuts. Okay?
What we just said right before we started was actually the impetus of this whole entire podcast is a half-baked idea that we just decided to say, just don't be afraid to say yes.
That's right. Yep, that's exactly what it's about in entrepreneurship, isn't it?
Yep.
You have the opportunity to say yes, and
Mhm.
if you don't, well, that's okay too. But
Right.
yeah.
So nuts. What would be
my-
like one of the craziest things that you did where you say you have to be nuts? You're calling yourself nuts. Joanne's nuts, everyone. So am I. That's why
raise
we're
your hand
entrepreneurs.
in the room on
Right.
on social. Raise your hand,
Right.
please.
I think the man
if you're
behind
all-
the camera is also nuts too.
Yeah, there
Anthony.
we go. It's part of it.
Right.
You, this has nothing to do with entrepreneurship, but it is about being nuts. And Dave and I, in a long time ago, we
Yep.
quit our jobs at ad agencies, and we went camping cross country for 2.5 months in a tent. And like the first Honda Civic, do you remember how big that was? It was like the size of this table.
Yeah. The one
Okay.
with like the 4 headlights in the front.
That's
there
it.
with the-
Yeah.
I know. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So everything we owned was in that car, and we went
A
up
tiny
to
car.
the
Yep.
tiny car. We went, up into, Canada and across
Mountain.
Alberta,
Oh, my
Vancouver, down the West Coast, and then came home.
Wow.
But I have no idea why we did that. It just because you had the opportunity to say yes.
Right.
So-
right. And so that you kind of parlayed that opportunity to say yes / crazy spirit into your entrepreneurship side, right?
It's
Because you were working a 9 to 5 sounds like, just like clock in, clock out, go,
Yeah.
shift work, ad agency type stuff to something totally different after
Ye-
that. What did you do after that?
So Dave and I both had our own design firm
Okay.
places.
Mm-hmm.
So I was up on James Street in an old
Right.
mansion.
Yep.
He was down in the Gear Bank building.
Mhm.
And then we were sitting on our deck in Eastwood one
Mhm.
night and said, you know what, we should just combine these things. And it was
Mhm.
like, wow, that's an idea. So we did. And it lasted for 19 years.
Okay.
So it was Lenweaver Advertising and Design.
Mm-hmm.
We had many different locations throughout, and ended up in Armory Square.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, hip-looking offices.
Mhm.
Much like this beautiful building that made your own because you
Yeah.
made it cool looking, and had the most creative people in this region working with us.
Right.
We had so much fun. We started out like everybody, just asking for business from people like Carrier and, Welch Allen and people
Right.
like that. But then, as you well know,
Right.
is it's all about, let's say, target marketing
Right.
and becoming an expert in a very, very thin field. And we became experts in gourmet cheese. And so
Interesting.
we did work for Parmigiano Reggiano
Okay.
from Italy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
It was
Yep.
lovely. And then Dave took a shot at, do you know Stilton cheese from
Right.
Britain?
Yep.
Well, we thought, you know what, your ads are really bad. So
Right.
Dave took a shot at it, and
It's one way to get a client, just insult them and then
let me just write you
create
a
the demand.
note that says, yeah, you could do better in class.
yeah.
So they said, why don't you come over and do a pitch?
Yeah.
So come over to Britain and do a pitch. Whoa. So
That's big time.
we practiced
Yeah.
for, we put the whole thing together. We did market research. We, knew what they needed, and when we walked over there and pitched to about a dozen men in a
Right.
room, and it was a riot. And
Were they having tea?
they they were having tea. They were insulting each other. It was
Being coy.
yeah, it was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
And but we were pretty serious, and we got the account.
Wow.
So we continued on.
Yeah. So that was an example of taking a big swing, right?
You
And
got it.
had it not worked out, you would have been out all that time doing all the work.
Crap.
That's entrepreneurship. Is you swing. Sometimes you miss, but sometimes you hit a home run. Kind of being baseball season in full swing right now.
You got it. Yep.
With the puns here today.
you-
Sorry.
You've got bases are loaded. You
Right.
give it a roll.
You do what you can. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And I've had my own share of home runs and strikeouts as well, in my own business. And I know how that works. We've had locations that didn't work out. We've had ones that work amazingly. But for the most part, you just keep on grinding it out.
That's right. It is
Another
grinding it out.
coffee pun here.
There you go.
Yeah.
And every day, could be a little, more fun than the others. And
I think that's one of the interesting
hotter,
things about
yeah.
being an entrepreneur is that you have so much variety, and it's such a rush when you do well and you do something that is just succeeding, and you can see the results of it, and take a lot of pride in the fact that you
came up with this
built-
idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we've talked about the fact that, we knew you in Eastwood, and
Yeah.
now, oh my gosh, look at this.
Just a kid roasting coffee in his T-shirt. And
That's right.
now we're an organization. Oh man.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't spell coffee, and today I are one.
Oh my God.
That's really sad.
It's okay. I got a question for you. How
Okay.
will your role and how will your role change and adapt, and how will Wise change and adapt in the next recession? Because everybody keeps saying at some point we're going to have another recession.
Right. We're, this bubble. I mean,
Right.
people are referring to it as a bubble, aren't they? I mean,
They
in
are.
a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The last 2 years, the stock market has gone crazy high compared
crazy.
to previous levels historically. So what is that? Is that real? What's going on?
That's
so
exactly right.
people are skeptic, and all of a sudden it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Skepticism leads to doubt. Skepticism and doubt leads to lowering stock prices.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? It may happen soon in the next year, next through 2-3 years, but what do you do to coach people, talking about entrepreneurs here, we're getting brass tacks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not all, fun and sparkling sunshine.
Oh my
you
God.
know,
There are
you're in the
days.
trenches, and there
Yep.
are days where you want to quit,
Yep.
and sometimes
You don't get paid.
you don't get paid, right? The owner gets
Mhm.
burnt out or experiences something, some sort of hardship,
Yeah.
whether it's
Yep.
stress related or health related or whatever. But
Yep.
what do you tell people to do, whether it be holistically or strategically or any sort of advice? What do you offer them?
Right. Yeah. I can answer for women.
Sure, of course.
And so let's say the most wonderful thing about being an entrepreneur in a
Right.
situation like that is you have control of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so unfortunately, maybe staffing,
Right.
needs to be reduced, or you have to go into smaller space, or,
Mhm.
you have to be flexible and, pivot when you need to. And the longer you're in it, the better you get at it. But I think if a recession starts,
Right.
you're better off being an entrepreneur, having a side hustle, right, that allows you to protect yourself. Because if you work for a big organization, they're doing a big layoff or something like that, wow, you weren't prepared.
No.
So I think everyone, it's so healthy for you to have something on the side that allows you to feel that you are doing something fun after 5 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And then that's totally different. And also just to protect yourself, because you need to make money no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. It's very healthy
To
have something else going on.
To have something else going on the side. What if it's your main? What if that is? What if you've already taken? You've jumped with 2 feet.
A couple of years
ago. You've taken the leap.
Yeah.
Yep. You're in it. You're still a new business, less than 5 years old.
Yep.
You're feeling the heat. You've kind of done like Cortez and burned the ships behind you as you landed. What do you do? What do you do strategically or whatever if you have no fallback plan? This is it. You're in.
Yep.
What do you do?
Well, in my eyes,
Yeah.
make sure you have a support network.
Yeah.
So, as far as our situation, I feel really strongly that women need to come, let's say in our case, to the Women's Business Center.
Right.
And start meeting people.
Right.
And, go to other organizations like WBOC or whatever it may be, and attend workshops and things and learn, because you're going to need people around you to assist you.
Yes.
And
there are all sorts of different ways to find that throughout. For example, I'm now part of a group, like a leadership coaching group with Michael Scrow, by the way. Here, Mike, here's to you. Is he watching? He's also going to... I'm trying to make up because I was supposed to talk to him today, right now. So,
nice job, Michael.
No, but you reach out and you try to get involved in something, and you feel it is important, because something that I've experienced as an entrepreneur, it can get rather lonely.
I can't believe you said that. I mean, that is so 100%. I wasn't. When we owned our ad agency for 19 years. I wasn't great at asking for help. And it was very lonely.
Yeah. I suck at asking for help. But I think
Why
one of the
is
things
that?
Can I say that? Sorry.
Yeah, no,
No, one of my strengths is that I'm fiercely independent and all of that, but that's the entrepreneurial spirit, and part of how I'm wired is to be that. But then you can go so far down the road where all of a sudden you start to feel pressure and different things like that, and then you need to adjust, or you need to reach out, or you need to find a support network. So
you are so right. I mean, there is you feel like no one understands you.
They don't. I mean, the people you interact with on a regular basis, for me, we have 120 some employees, and I can say with certainty that zero of them understand what I'm feeling.
Absolutely.
Do I communicate it to them? No, but then you can't really everything, But it's the difference between feeling, this is the end-all, be-all. I'm the last line of defense for us staying open or shutting down, and I got to make it happen. Or, I can rely on this person for the paycheck, and it's still like a little bit of reliance. So there's different things that I think attribute to that feeling. But kudos to you for providing that support network, and I'm sure that a lot of businesses have stayed open and improved, whereas without you there and your presence and your mentoring and experience that you share, they would likely be gone. So,
Well, thanks, Matt.
yeah.
You know, you can never take total credit for any of this
Right.
because those people are the ones, like you and I are saying, on
Right.
the line every
Right.
day, and they are taking the hit. But I think if we had had, I know if I had had
Right.
the Wise Women's Business Center
Right.
when I started,
Yeah.
I it would have been helpful to know
Mhm.
somebody was out there. And so if if someone's out there and they know that they're starting something,
Right.
it's just something that you need to feel better about. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. I think it's good that you focus specifically on women too, because I think that makes it equitable for our community at large, and it's just wonderful that that you have been so helpful to all these women entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
And I think that on the positive note, I think that you can help them advance and thrive, and there are probably many stories that you can share of entrepreneurs that have taken it to the next level in their businesses, whether it's going from a side gig to a main gig, quitting their day job and moving
Yeah.
forward and just advancing and thriving, or whether it's harnessing the experience of yourself and then other experienced women entrepreneurs that you may have networked with. I think that's all really powerful stuff. So
Yes,
thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, you know what? Just a little
Sure. Yeah.
side note here, but May
course.
is U.S. Small Business Month. So when you think about it, there are 12 million women-owned businesses in the nation
Wow.
today.
Yeah.
So that's tremendous that these women, are generating over $3.1 trillion in
Wow.
revenue.
Wow.
So,
Critical part of the economy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what I think the women are bringing is a totally different look at the corporate mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. They own different
It
businesses
needs to
differently.
change. It needed to change. So it's good that it's going that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, they, like people are saying, when there's diversity at the boardroom level,
Right. Yeah.
you get a better product out of the corporation.
You do.
And, that's how you and I put together teams that are unique and, that really have a sensitivity to, all of the different cultures we have in Syracuse. It's so wonderful.
it is.
And I think we're, working is to satisfy that need from
Yeah.
a whole different angle on many different levels.
Mm.